players got to change their behavior. If you're a Major League Baseball player, dude, you can't live your life the way you've lived your entire life because unless you were somehow alive in 1912, which you weren't, nobody playing Major League Baseball today has ever lived through a global pandemic. Your life needs to change. Your behavior needs to change. You can't live normally and not expect to get a positive test for coronavirus. Now, people can argue all they want about whether it's fake or not, or does it really kill you? Who cares? That's not the point. The point is if you test positive, your season is gravely in jeopardy. I don't care whether you really believe in the stupid thing or not. The point is you can't afford to test positive. And the only way to be very sure you're not going to test positive is to change your behavior and not put yourself at risk. And then my question is, were players told to self-quarantine? How clear was Major League Baseball with the expectations that players needed to do X, Y, Z? I don't know. And then I just have so many more questions about Major League Baseball. Like, I guess really my point is that I guess as I sit around and think about this garbage pile of a season for Major League Baseball, that's just been a nightmare. I wonder if Major League Baseball has this many problems and they're not in a bubble, how in the heck is the NFL going to work? I legitimately don't know. And why doesn't the NFL have a bubble? Why doesn't baseball have a bubble? And if you think about the NFL perspective, couldn't the NFL have every team stay in a local hotel and self-quarantine there? I mean, so the Ravens have a hotel in Baltimore where that's their home hotel, and the players hang out there. They use the pool, they use the grounds, and they go to the facility. That's it, right? It's very, very, you go to the facility and you go to the hotel, and that's it. And then the Seahawks, couldn't they have a hotel in Seattle do the same thing? They go from the hotel to the facility, and that's it. The only two places the Seahawks can go are those two places. Or the Rams have a hotel in LA. They do the same thing. I know for Major League Baseball, or what am I saying? For the NFL, you cannot put all 32 teams in one location. There are too many human beings, right? A basketball team can get away with it. 22 NBA teams in Orlando because an NBA team is way smaller of an amount of people. A way smaller amount of people. The coaching staffs, the players, the people involved in an NFL team are countless. And you can't there's just not a facility probably on the planet big enough to put everybody in the NFL and host a season. It's just not feasible. But is there no way for an NFL bubble at all? There's no way to have maybe, 32 independent bubbles where the only time you travel is when you're going to play a team in an away game. And then college football's a mess. And, I have friends in college football that are banding together and creating all kinds of stuff that I can't even talk about because it would ruin their plans against their overlord conferences that are really, it's such a mess. It's such a mess. And I'm rambling here. I guess the only sports I have faith in right now are the NBA and the NHL. And I'm just sharing my heart now at this point. This started with baseball. Now it's just me being sad about coronavirus. The only sports I have faith in are sports in a bubble because basketball is working. And basketball is working very, very well. And if you're not in a bubble and your plan is to not have a season with some kind of bubble, I just don't know how you're going to make it. I have no idea how it's feasible that you can take a bunch of risks and not have players in a bubble and expect them to not somehow get sick because it takes one person to slip up. Even if maybe the players totally self-quarantine themselves and totally isolate themselves, but your kids are going to school or your wife is hanging out with a girlfriend or at some point a kid's going to be in contact with something, right? There's just too many variables unless you have players in a true bubble.